All right, guys, the paperwork is signed, and we are finally driving off on my E46 M3. Now, I'm so excited. I had this car. Thanks, Aaron, for driving me down here. I am really, really thrilled with this car. We're gonna go the back way, okay. I'm really, really thrilled with buying this car. It's been a dream come true for me, guys. I never ever thought I would have such a car again after my thing got stolen here. Oh, we could go out this way. After my car got stolen. And it's really a dream. I've waited all these years to get another E46 M3, and I finally got one. I'm so excited. So I was looking for one. As you know, I did a vlog about it. So those of you that guessed E46 M3, obviously you're right. And I looked at so many E46 M3s, can never find a good one. They always needed a ton of work. And I met one of my friends recently at a BMW Cars and Coffee at up at BMW headquarters where I live in Wycliffe Lake. And that's just the radar detector going off. Maybe I don't need that just yet. And he told me he bought his E39 M5 at like 130,000 miles at a BMW dealership, and it's been the best, most reliable car. He really literally had to do nothing with it. He's got like 150,000 miles now, and it, I can't tell where ways it's telling me to go. I think it's telling me to go right. Does that sound right? And no, it's not telling me to go right. It's telling me to go left. And and he's had nothing but good luck with it. And I think because he bought it at a BMW dealership, a typical main dealer, whether it's BMW, Audi, Mercedes, Porsche, they typically sell good cars. I got my Honda S2000 at a Toyota dealership, and it was mint. It was perfect. So if this car had had paintwork and other stuff, I think it would have just, the dealer would have just wholesaled it. So this is, believe it or not, an original paint car, even though it has 90,000 miles. It's very similar to the spec of my car that got stolen. Now it's blue, not Laguna Seca blue, but blue. 2003, same year I had, manual. Now mine had no sunroof. This has a sunroof like most of them. And it literally has the same options as my car. It's got the xenon headlights. It's got the black Napa leather. It's got the Harman Kardon. So it matches my car almost to a T, sans the sunroof. And mine was an 03, not an 03.5. So this is actually really the perfect spec. And I found this at a Porsche dealer, and I'm like, wow. And it was a pretty good price too, because I don't know, maybe they don't know, you know, manual cars, especially blue ones, sell for a lot more money than SMG cars, and coupes sell for a lot more than convertibles. And I thought it was priced very fairly. And they had the service records going back to 50,000 miles. And the vanos had been done, everything been done, the cooling system. I checked the subframe myself, and the subframe is like perfect. And I said, I just need to know that the rod bearings were done. And they called BMW and got the rest of the, am I going onto the highway here? Nope. They called BMW and got the rest of the service records, which proves the rod bearings were done. So I literally have the service records to day one. And this was originally sold new at Park Ave BMW, which is 10 miles from where I live. So this car had spent some time in Texas. I forgot what owner I am, because I think the guy leased it and then bought it. So I think a couple owners are actually the same, even though the Carfax says otherwise. Clean Carfax. I went over with the paint meter. The paint's original, which I can't believe. It's got 90,000 miles on it. Subframe had 0 cracks on it. They let me put it on a lift myself. PPI was done. It passed with flying colors. So I'm like, wow, now just to negotiate the price. And it's funny, when I came back at the dealer the second time to negotiate and inspect the subframe, they said, do you have a YouTube channel? And I'm like, yeah, I do have a YouTube channel. So I think they gave me a great price because of that. And I've been dreaming of one of these cars for so long. Now, I've test drove a lot of M3s. A lot of them now have different suspensions. They have, you know, coilovers. Some of them, a lot of them are cheap coilovers. And it's really, they don't drive really well. So a lot of times don't meet your heroes. When I owned my car a long time ago, you think, wow, it drove so good, and then you drive it compared to a modern car and you go, oh, it's not so good. Well, when I just drove this example, even the steering wheel is rewrapped here like a brand new steering wheel. When I drove this example, I said, wow, it drives like literally like a brand new, exactly like my M3 did. And my M3 only had 10,000 miles. So I'm actually shocked that it drove so well. So I'm really excited. I can't believe I own an E46 M3 again. We're going to do so many videos with this on the channel. I have a lot of big plans for this car, and you know, so hit the notification bell, subscribe. You don't want to miss any of those videos. Just my friend today was telling me, oh, he has a Lotus Exige. She's like, you ever review a Lotus Exige? I'm like, yeah, I did 3 episodes, and he didn't see it because you don't hit the notification bell, you'll miss that. But this car so far, it really drives like a dream. Now I can't wait to get to the open highway here. New Jersey's Route 1 is horrible. It's this big open road that goes down to Trenton, which is our capital, and all the way like east-west New Jersey kind of. And it's just traffic light after traffic light. So we came after rush hour on purpose. So we didn't have any problems. The clutch feels real good. I remember, I'm assuming this clutch pulls really well, so I believe it has been replaced at one time, but it still feels OEM to me. The only thing not OEM on this car is just the exhaust tips and the muffler. So I guess it's got an axle back exhaust, which will probably help with sound. I just gotta watch for potholes on this road. But the car drives great. It tracks well. This had new brakes and tires. The previous owner replaced the whole cooling system earlier this year. So it was a tough choice. I really, I love S2000s. I've owned 2 of them. I already had one on the channel that I made lots of videos with. I had an E90 M3 forever, so that was a great choice. I had that car for 6 years. So, and the reason I had it for 6 years, I bought it new in 2008, sedan, Interlagos blue, 6-speed manual, sunroof, delete, because it was such a good car. It was great for my real estate business. It was great later for having my kids in the back. And it was a great family sedan that I could autocross on the weekends, and that's what I did. And it was a great, super reliable car, put a lot of miles on it, never had any issues. But the E46 M3, I always felt like I got jilted since mine got stolen with 10,000 miles. And I felt like I didn't want the bad guys to win. I wanted to be able to get another one. And now I'm lucky enough that I did get another one. And I know you guys love E46 M3s because when I post videos on E46 M3s, you watch and I get a lot of views. And let me tell you, it is a really, really good car. So good to be in a manual transmission again. I had the NSX out all weekend, and that was great driving the manual. The weekend before I had the BMW 1M out. So we're gonna keep this car for years. So we'll see how reliable it is. You know, I've never bought a car. I usually buy clean, low miles examples. I've never bought a car with 90,000 miles on it. So we'll see how that goes. But I'm telling you, I looked at cars with 30 or 40,000 miles, and I would say this was cleaner than those cars. So always buy these cars. I've always said on my channel since it started a couple years ago, always buy on condition with service records, not on mileage. Because if you buy a 30,000 mile car, you're gonna pay through the nose. You're gonna pay $40,000, $35,000 to get that. And you don't want a car that's been sitting. So the first owner may have driven it 20,000 miles, and then the last 15 years, it's only had, you know, it sat for 10 years. You don't want that because then the seals are going to go dry and you're going to have a lot of problems with the car. And I think that's why a lot of people have problems with low mileage cars. Now it's different if the car is 16 years old and the guy drove it consistently 1,000 miles a year. I think you'd be fine. But typically, anytime I've looked at the Carfax and see the mileage, it's typically, you know, they were driven a lot at one point in a period of time as a daily driver, and then they were put away and never driven again, and then you're going to uncover a lot of problems. Imagine if you didn't use your snowblower in 5 years, how well that would work. Now that's for people who live in the north or northeast. If you live where there's good weather, imagine if you didn't use your lawnmower for 5 years. How well would it work when you started it up for the first time in 5 years? Not very. So cars the same way. We always want to, it's a machine, we always want to keep using it. You drive your car all the time, I don't care if it had 130,000 miles. If it's consistently putting 5 or 10,000 miles a year, I think your car will be fine as long as you keep up with the maintenance. So I always say when you buy a car, you're buying its owner even more than anything. So whoever owned this car loved it because they took care of every little thing. And I have the service record binder here. Whoever owned it loved everything about the car because I have service records going back to day one. So this car was sold new at Park Ave BMW in Maywood, New Jersey, which is right near like Route 17 and Route 4, if you know that area, in Maywood, which is right next to Paramus. You've probably heard of Paramus. And it is just it was just, I don't know, great time for BMW. They had the best cars back then. You had, in 2003, you had the E39 M5, you had the E46 M3, you just stopped making the M Coupe in 2002. And this is when BMW were really driver's car. Now this doesn't have any navigation, which I love. It's a very clean interior. It has the Harman Kardon, which I had in my car. So this car pretty much matches mine. So coupe, 6-speed manual, blue, even though it's a different color blue. Harman Kardon, no navigation, black interior, the black leather, 2003. So it matches my car almost to the T. It has the xenon lights on my car. So, except for the sunroof and not being Laguna Seca blue, it's literally an exact match of my car. And that's, so I thought it was like a sign, this is the car I should get. It's in driving distance, like I like all my cars to be. Let's try to do a little acceleration. Now this has the variable red line. Now it feels quick, it doesn't feel fast. You know, unfortunately I own some fast cars, you probably do too. It's about, when it came out, I think BMW said about 4.8 seconds to 60, and they're older cars now, it's probably like 5.0, I would say, which is definitely not quick. It's like equal to my NSX. My NSX is probably like 5.0, 5.2, so it might be slightly quicker than that. The power's up high, so you do have to go up there with the power. If you're used to a turbo motor, maybe you won't like this kind of car because a turbo motor, you know, gives you that shove, which this doesn't. It's a linear power band, and then you really feel the zing towards the end as you approach the red line. All right, so what do I feel right now driving back? Again, I've only been driving the car probably about 15 minutes. The steering is phenomenal. Hydraulic steering, it places the car. It drives like a new car instead of a 90,000 mile car. You can really notice the difference in cars nowadays with hydraulic steering versus electric. Clutch is nice and light, very easy to use. Ride is very smooth. It's got a stock suspension. Maybe the suspension was refreshing at one time because it certainly doesn't drive like a 90,000 mile car. A lot of traffic here in New Jersey. So how is it in traffic? Not bad. I remember when I had mine, I used to hate getting stuck in traffic because I thought the clutch was really stiff. Maybe I'm just used to the clutch now. I think this clutch has been replaced at some point because it seems like it has a lot of meat left in it. I've never had to replace a clutch on any of my cars. But you never know how the person before you drove it. A lot of times I've sold cars to people and as they were leaving my house, they were riding the clutch the whole way. So, or on the test drive, they were riding it. So even if somebody's been driving stick their whole life, sometimes they wind up abusing the clutch. I'm so glad that this car is blue also. I did want Laguna Seca blue. It wasn't worth it to me to spend an extra 10 grand just to get that color. But I am glad for a Mystic or Topaz blue. I would definitely consider. I really love Mystic blue. I just saw it, as I think I mentioned earlier, at Monterey Car Week. And when I saw it, now that was, it was a stick shift, but it was a convertible. And I said to the guy, I says, "That Mystic blue?" He's like, "Yeah." And I'm like, "Oh wow, that's such a cool color." That was probably the first time I saw it in person. So I think it's a pretty rare color, Mystic blue. I think this is the only time I've ever seen Mystic blue is a month ago and now. Everything seems to work here. The radio sounds pretty decent. It's the optional radio, the Harman Kardon. Really I got the black interior. Even the Laguna Seca blue cars I was looking at had gray interior. Mine has a black interior. I just personally like black interior, especially on these cars. Let's see, what else can I report on the car? It's pretty easy to heel toe. I have an advantage. I think I have a size 13 foot, so I can kind of easily roll my foot over. Oh, enough with the traffic already. Brakes are really good on this car. Now, when I had my car, and again, that was a long time ago, I thought the most surprising about the car wasn't the stick shift or the 8,000 RPM redline. It was actually the brakes. I was actually impressed. I used to autocross mine. I don't think I'll autocross this car because I don't want to crack the subframe. But I autocrossed my car and it was great. And that's actually the first time I saw a Laguna Seca Blue M3 in person. I was actually at an autocross in New Jersey, and somebody had Massachusetts plates, came down with one, and I saw that color, Laguna Seca Blue, for the first time in person, and I was like, oh my God, you know, I gotta have that color. And I think my car at the time was Electron Blue C5Z06. That was my track car, and before that I had an Admiral Blue C4 Corvette. You know, all that I bought used as you know, cheaper track cars, but the C5Z06 was actually an awesome track car. All right, now we're getting on the New Jersey Turnpike. One thing that I forgot is the window switches aren't on the door. They're down here in the center, and then the back window's open too. I actually forgot about that. All right, now I didn't realize they gave me a full tank of gas, which is great. Special props to Robert Vitalis at Princeton Porsche for hooking me up with this sweet E46 M3. All right, acceleration run. All right. Going fast in an E46 M3. Well, it's pretty stable at speed. There's no shake in the wheel. I did obviously test drive this car before I bought it. Very mechanical. You can hear a lot of mechanical noises in here, which are definitely muted. So when I went from an E46 M3 to an E90 M3, that was a more, it was a great car because it had the V8 and the sound is amazing. I still think it's one of the best cars out there, but it was not as visceral as experience. It was a little heavier car. It was a little more luxurious. It was a little quieter. I just had to complete the circle. I've been talking about forever, and you know, and you're sick of it, about my E46 M3 got stolen. And you know, the reason I talk about it all the time is I miss it. And you know, I've been waiting all these years, and I'm really just so happy to buy this car and be an E46 M3 owner again. I am really blessed that I was able to get the car up. Perfect timing, laser. But I'm really blessed to be able to get this car. I just thought it was a sign that I found it. It was an 03, it was blue, black interior, 6-speed, at a dealership right after I spoke to my friend and said he bought a really high mileage E39 M5 from a BMW dealership, and it's been so reliable. Because, you know, main dealers like that, they're not going to sell a junky car. They sell $100,000 Porsches, $220,000 Turbo S's or GT3 RS's. They're not going to mess around with a $20-something thousand E46 M3. If it doesn't meet their standard, they're just going to wholesale it, and you'll find it at a no-name dealer or on an eBay auction. So the fact that I was able to find this car, you know, to me is really a blessing, because I've been looking for an E46 M3 so long, and I'm really, really happy that I have this. Now, never in a million years would I think I would buy a car with 90,000 miles on it, but this car seems like a loved example. So if this car is not reliable, then we'll give up on E46 M3s. But you know, I'll put as many miles as I can on this car. We're going to do long-term tests. We'll see. You know, I'll go over in detail, make videos how I bought this car, how to find one, what to look for when you're buying one. You know, what it costs to run, what are the maintenance, what are the parts, brakes and tires, what do you need to do to keep your car in tip-top shape, and then, you know, 2 or 3 years from now, if we sell the car, you know, how to market it, how to sell it, so you can follow this whole car's journey. So again, Don't want to sound like a broken record, but hit the subscribe button, hit the notification bell. You don't want to miss those videos. We already have 600 car reviews on the channel. You know, my goal is we'll do another 100 car reviews and then another 100 car reviews out of that. But this E46 M3 will certainly be a big part of the channel. So now these cars do have a pretty stiff suspension. This suspension seems pretty good. I don't know if it's been refreshed at some point, but it does handle really well. You know, the bumps are sharper and harder in this car than your, say, my M2. I guess the ride is probably similar. I shouldn't say it's stiffer than the M2. I think you just feel more here. It's louder. You have less sound deadening. You know, these were when M3s were driver's car. Now I think, you know, a lot of the M cars, they appeal to everybody. They've made them kind of softer. I just love how this car looks, especially like the dead-on look from the front or the dead-on look from the back or even the side. I just think it's a timeless design. I think this is the best looking M3 ever made. And I'd say it's one of the best BMW M cars ever made. And I just love E46 M3 owners. They're really one of my favorites. They all really appreciate the M3. They just love their cars. And there are ones that are bone stock, like this one, and there are ones that are heavily modified. But what's great about the community is everybody just loves the E46 M3. I think it is an icon, and I think it will be a legend. You know, I would call it a modern classic. I don't know if I'm ready to call it a classic, but this car will certainly be a classic. When you have grandchildren, you'll tell them you owned an E46 M3, and they'll be like, "What, Grandpa? Really, you owned one?" So I think you know, if you got a good car, hold on to it. Really, the hardest thing, just like when I got my NSX or my S2000, it's so hard to find a good one. These cars were dirt cheap for so long, $10,000, $15,000 cars, that a lot of owners, you know, they fell into different owners' hands who didn't have the money to maintain them. This person who bought this car traded it in for a brand new Boxer GTS, so he bought a $100,000 car, so he had the money to maintain it, and that's why this car is really in amazing condition. The more I drive this car, the more I like it. I've only been driving it probably a half hour so far, maybe 45 minutes, and I'm telling you, it's bringing such a smile to my face. High mileage is okay, just get a highly maintained car. I can't go wrong with original paint and service records from day one. So this car's had every maintenance thing ever done to it, and that's why it drives so good. I mean, when I drove this car, I had driven 30 or 40,000 mile cars that didn't look as good or drive as good as this one, and that's why I bought this one. Never in a million years, since I always buy low mileage cars, did I ever think I would buy a 90,000 mile BMW, no less. And we'll see if it's reliable. You know, I always have reliable cars and people go, "Oh, you don't drive them enough. You bought them with too low mileage or you bought them too highly maintained." That's why I buy them highly maintained, so I have a better chance of them being reliable. If an old car has stayed reliable its whole life and always been somebody's baby and always maintained to the highest standard, it really should stay that way until it gets a lot of miles, like 150 or something like that. So, you know, we'll find out. This will be the perfect test to see how expensive it is to run an E46 M3. Alright guys, so thanks again for watching. Remember, do all those things. Subscribe, hit the notification bell because you won't want to miss these videos. Like and share these videos so my channel can grow. And I will see you next time. Remember, we post 3 videos a week. We have over 600 car reviews on YouTube on Glenn's Car Collection, all different cars. So just put in the search box the car you're interested in and type in Glenn's Car Collection. I guarantee my video will come up. And looking forward to a lot more videos with this car, as well as continuing our car reviews and car news. Thanks again for watching, guys, and I will see you next time.